Hi, my name's Sophia Brown and I've been given another task. This time it's to create a data model in 3NF based on a business description of a cinema company. And the model should at least show where a particular movie is being shown and how many tickets can be sold for that particular show. As last time, I'll go through the different steps that I've taken in order to create this data model and then check whether the data model meets the requirements of the task. So the first step is to identify objects. I use the business description to identify or see if I can find any objects within it. So if you look at the first part, Mr. Kvast has various cinemas around Dalarna. Each cinema is divided into different movie theatres. In the movie theatres, there are rows of seats. And the second part is Mr. Kvast's staff performs the activity called cinema show, which involves showing various movies in Mr. Kvast's cinema. To enter cinema show, you need a ticket that is valid for a specific show. The ticket is linked to a specific seat. So from this description, I can identify that we have cinema, theatre, seat, staff, cinema show, which is a complex object as it's an activity objectifying a relationship between staff and the other passive objects, but also movies and ticket. So if we use the OPR framework and divide these objects into different types of objects, active being staff, because the staff will be performing an objectified relationship, in this case a cinema show, using passive objects, movie, cinema, theatre, seats and tickets. The next step is to identify attributes of these objects. Again, here I go back to the business description to see if I can find any attributes that are key for this task. In the first part, I can see that there are rows of seats. So the rows is describing whereabouts the seat is located. So therefore, row is an attribute or property of seats. In the second part, I can also see showing various movies. So I know that the complex object cinema show needs to at least show a movie. And in the questions of what the model should show is where is the movie shown. Therefore, I need to give some sort of location to the cinema. And also how many tickets can be sold for a particular show, which means that I need to give an attribute to the theatre of how many seats are within that theatre. So now the model will start looking like this, where I've added these properties or attributes, but I've also added others, for example, unique identifiers in each object, from which I can use as a primary key, which I can then later link to different objects when analysing the relationship between the different objects. But it still leaves me with quite a few questions in regards to cinema show and tickets. For example, the ticket needs to show what movie I'm going to, which cinema, which theatre, what seat, what row, when I'm going, and the price of the ticket. And the same with the cinema show. I need to know what movie I'm going to, what is being viewed or shown, where it's being shown, the price, when it's being shown, and also how many available seats, how many tickets for this particular show could one sell, and also whom is doing this complex object or this activity. So the next step is to describe the relationship between the objects. If we look closer between the relationship between cinema and theatre, one cinema has one or more theatres. One theatre can only belong to one cinema. And if we look at theatre's relationship to seats, one theatre has one or more seats, but one seat can only belong to one theatre. If we look at the relationship between staff and cinema show, one member of staff can perform one or more cinema shows, as in the action rather than performing a cinema. The cinema show can only be done by one member of staff. A movie can only be part of 0 or many cinema shows, because there might, for example, be an up-and-coming movie that hasn't reached its release date yet and therefore wouldn't be part of a cinema show. But also, a cinema can only represent one movie. If we look closer at further relationships between these objects in order to describe the business description, we can see that there's a relationship between cinema show and theatre. This will also help us answer the questions previously in regards to cinema show. For example, whereabouts is this particular movie going to be shown? One cinema show can be connected to one theatre, and one theatre can be in many cinema shows. And from this relationship, we can will also be able to work out whereabouts, or the location of where this movie is being shown, as there's a relationship between theatre object and cinema object. Once again, I use theatre ID and allocate foreign key in order to connect this relationship. Then there's also a relationship between cinema show and ticket. The cinema show has a lot of information that I want to use on my ticket. One cinema show can have many tickets, but a ticket can refer to only one cinema show. And by using this, by identifying this relationship, I will be able to gain data, for example, what movie, what price, whereabouts this particular movie will be shown, time, and so on. And the last relationship is between seats and ticket. I need to know what seat and what row I'm sitting on. So by using the seat ID as a foreign key, there's one seat can be connected to many different tickets, as there's many different viewings. For example, at 3 o'clock there might be a James Bond movie, whereas at 6 o'clock there might be I can't think of a film, another film, James Bond 2. And if we look at the relationship in the other way, a ticket can only relate to one specific seat. So the final task is to see whether this data model actually meets the requirements of the task. And that was create a data model and also answer the following questions, and to make sure that it reaches the normalization form, or the third normalization form. So to answer the question, where is the movie shown? We can answer this, or get the data for this, either, say we have a ticket in our hand, by using the cinema show ID. I can therefore be related back to the cinema show, and from there I can gain information from the theatre object, and in turn know exactly whereabouts that theatre is located through the cinema. With regards to the question, how many tickets can be sold for a particular show, once again I've added an attribute of total amount of seats. So on my ticket I can go back through the cinema show to see which theatre it's being shown, and therefore I know how many seats that would be able to be sold for this particular show. And the ticket must be valid for a specific show. Once again, I've done that by using a cinema show ID as well. And it reaches the NF1, NF2 and NF3. All rows are unique, all key attributes are dependent on the primary key. There are no non-key attributes that are dependent on each other, and there's no atomic values. Thank you.